Hey everybody, welcome to Brainiac Baseball's 1969 Seattle Pilots What If Scenario. That's right, I'm asking the question, what if the Seattle Pilots never moved from Seattle to Milwaukee at the start of the 1970 season? And so we're going to begin our sim today with opening day, which features Gary Bell of the Seattle Pilots versus the Boston Red Sox very own Juan Pizarro. And you may be asking yourself, why would I choose to do a scenario like this? And for me, it's all about the baseball cards. If you follow this channel, you know that I'm a big baseball card lover. I started collecting baseball cards way back in 1977. I was 6 years old. And I can remember going to yard sales and thrift shops and finding cards that had the Seattle Pilots name and logo on it. And I was always like, what the hell is up with this team? I know the Seattle Mariners because they had just came into existence. I had a whole bunch of Dick Pole baseball cards for the Seattle Mariners in 1977. But I didn't know what the Seattle Pilots were. And of course, there's no internet back then. I had no way of doing research. I mean, who am I going to ask? So as I got older, I got more interested in discovering the history of the Seattle Pilots. And when I found out they had only existed for 1 year, technically speaking, and that they had moved to Milwaukee, I really wanted to investigate the story behind that. Of course, there's the great book by Jim Bouton that came out after the 1969 season called Ball 4, which is maybe, top 3 all-time baseball backstory type of book. And I remember reading that as a teenager, and that really kind of gives you an idea of what was going on behind the scenes for this startup baseball team that was really struggling. Jim Bouton, at the end of the season, before the trade deadline, ended up getting traded to the Yankees, and the book takes a different turn once he gets there. If you have never read that book, I highly recommend it. It's very entertaining, a lot of fun, a lot of dirt on the players from that season. But now that I'm older and all this information is available to us, and you can only trust so much that you read on the internet to begin with. But in order to start this series properly, before we even get to the game, I think I need to just take a moment and give you kind of the lead up in the history of the Seattle Pilots prior to the trade till Milwaukee. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do in the future seasons. And then we'll go ahead and get to the game. So the Seattle Pilots were granted a franchise coming into the 1967 season. 3 other teams were also granted an expansion franchise, and that's the Kansas City Royals, the San Diego Padres, and the Montreal Expos. Now, the Expos and the Padres were going to be ready to go by the 1969 season. And the Pilots weren't actually going to start until 1971 with the Kansas City Royals. But there was some snags in that. We're going to get to that momentarily here. A couple of facts real quick about the Pilots. The team president is Dewey Sorianos. He was a part-time Harper pilot in Seattle. And as owner, that's how they got the name, the Seattle Pilots. They played at Six Stadium, SICKS, Six Stadium, which was the Pacific Coast League's Seattle Rainiers Stadium. It really only seated 15,000 at the time, and it was considered one of the best minor league stadiums. By the time the Pilots were coming into existence, though, there was already problems with the stadium, and they were having a lot of difficulty expanding the seating. In 1964, the Cleveland Indians were actually looking to move away from Cleveland, and they were exploring the option of moving to Seattle. They ended up getting additional funding from William Daley, the owner of the Indians, and they stayed in Cleveland. In 1967, Charlie Finley tried to move the Kansas City A's to Seattle, but instead, of course, he moved them to Oakland. And then with the addition of the Seattle Supersonics in 1967, that was the time when Seattle started to get really into the sports scene, which would eventually lead to the Seattle Seahawks coming around in 1976. So when Soriano was looking to finance an interest group for the Seattle Pilots, he couldn't actually get enough money together. This is kind of where everything started going wrong right out of the gate. So he actually went to the Cleveland Indians owner, Bill Daley, and asked him for a loan to get the Pilots up and running. As I mentioned, the Kansas City Royals and the Pilots weren't even supposed to start playing baseball until 1971, but the Missouri Senate put a lot of pressure on Major League Baseball to move it up 3 years to get them started. They wanted to actually start in 1968 because of the revenue that would come into the state for the baseball team, considering that Kansas City A's had just left. So because of the pressure, and with the other two National League teams starting in 1969, the Royals and the Pilots agreed to begin on opening day of 1969. There was one major problem, though, with the Rainiers losing their home. The Seattle management group had to pay the Pacific Coast League $1 million. And in order for them to even get the team officially on board, they had to wait for King County to approve the building of a new stadium, which eventually, of course, would become the Kingdome. So I mentioned Sick's Stadium at the time only would seat 15,000. They wanted to get to 30,000 before opening day 1971. But the best they could do was get 19,500 seats for opening day, and by mid-year they had expanded to 25,000 seats. But whenever they would have more than 8,000 people in attendance, the water pressure would go down, and they wouldn't be able to flush toilets or run water in the stadium, including like for the field. So the stadium was not up to snuff for a major league franchise. So by the end of the 1969 season, the Pilots had a better record than any of the other three expansion franchises. So although they were considered a success, they were having difficulty paying their bills. And so Daley, the owner of the Cleveland Indians, at the end of the season refused to put any more money into the Seattle Pilots franchise. And so it really came down to the Pilots either getting a new ownership group or having all new construction on the stadium, but by 1970. So because they couldn't come up with any funds, the team president, Dewey Soriano of the Pilots, during Game 1 of the World Series in 1969, the Mets, the Orioles World Series, the Miracle Mets, he agreed in principle to sell the team to Bud Selig, a used car salesman from Milwaukee, for $10.8 million. The problem is that a minority group, owners of the Pilots, wouldn't approve, and the Washington State Senate opposed giving up the rights to the team because of what the revenue could have been, in the near future. So, at the last minute, a local theater owner came in and bid $10 million, but then he got a bank loan from the California bank, got called back, and he had to pay back $4 million to California Bank. And so he wasn't able to purchase the team. So now we go to spring training, 1970, and the Pilots don't even have anywhere to play their spring training. As spring training was starting, they got a new manager, they got new coaches for the Seattle Pilots, And finally, the minority group for the pilots agreed to financially to sell the team, but the state of Washington put an injunction in there that wouldn't allow them to sell it. So the only thing left to do was to file for bankruptcy. They had no money to pay any of the players or the coaches or any of the staff, and if they had not come up with money within 10 days to pay the players, everybody would have become a free agent. So on April 1st, 6 days before the season was to start, the federal court finally declared bankruptcy, and the team was allowed to move to Milwaukee. They had all of their equipment in Provo, Utah, just waiting because they didn't know whether they had to send it to Seattle or to Milwaukee. So they picked a halfway point. And of course, with 6 days before the season was to start, they didn't have any uniforms. So the Seattle Pilots uniforms and their team colors became the Milwaukee Brewers uniforms and team colors. They just switched out the names. And of course, they took the S off the hats and put an M on there. But if you look at these two photographs here from the 1970 Topps baseball cards, the one on the left is the uniform that they were wearing, they were going to wear in spring training. And the one on the right is a Milwaukee Brewers uniform. That baseball card didn't exist. I borrowed this from someone that I follow on Facebook. This is what the Milwaukee Brewers uniform looked like for the 1970 season. And you can even see the piping on the sleeves that is the same piping on the Seattle Pilots. It looks like a pilot's uniform. So, yeah, Selig, if he had his way, he would have changed the uniforms to Milwaukee's minor league system's colors, which was navy and red. And so when we finish this inaugural year of the Pilots and we start our second season, I'm going to change those uniforms to navy and red in the game to reflect what they would have been if they had if Selig had his way. So, that's a little bit of the backstory of the Seattle Pilots. Of course, there's a lot more things to tell about the team. As the season goes on, I'll drop more little tidbits along the way. But mostly what I want to do here real quick is get started, before we get started with the actual game today, is I just want to take a minute and show you our roster. Now, I did not do any of the adjustments. If you follow any of the Detroit Tigers season replays that I've been doing, the 1980 through the 83 season, we're going to start the 1984 season in April of 2023. You know that I manipulate some of the settings of the game to fit more of what I want as far as results go. And I'm not doing that for the Seattle Pilots here. We're going to use the same stadium settings. And the only thing that I've done is I did change the computer AI to do more lefty-righty matchups and hopefully pinch hit more and pinch run more, bring relievers in certain matchups. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I did use that in the Detroit simulations, but I did it at a lower percentage. I raised the percentage up to see what would happen. So let's take a look at the Seattle Pilots. These are all the players, all the batters that they got in the expansion draft. The only good name here is Tommy Harper, who's coming off a bad year for Cleveland. You can see the 1969 Pilots baseball card. They didn't even have hats yet, so they couldn't even use the logos. He's our best player, and my philosophy is we're going to bat him leadoff. You may as well get an extra 60 at-bats from your best player every, for the season by batting him leadoff. So then we have Mike Hegan of the first baseman here for the Pilots. He was on the Yankees last year. Rich Rollins from Minnesota playing third. We've got Don Mincher, maybe our best power hitter. You can take a look at his power hitting numbers there. He was a first baseman for the Angels. We got Wayne Comer from the Tigers. He is someone who plays center field, but he does have the ability to catch. Jerry McNertney is our catcher from the White Sox. Not a great arm. These are, a lot of the people in this expansion draft are older, like quadruple A level players. So we're not getting like big names here, which is part of the challenge. You may have noticed that everybody I put on the block, they are, everybody, even in the minor league system, they are tradable. So if the another team wants to trade for it, I will listen. There's Steve Hovley. This is the 1970s cards. Topps actually made cards for the Pilots in 1970, despite them going to Milwaukee. So 70 is the last season you can find Pilots cards. Here's Danny Walton over from Houston. Freddie Velasquez, a backup catcher. Ray Oyler from the Tigers. Of course, the Tigers won the World Series in 1968. And so Oyler was made available in the expansion draft. An absolute horrible hitter. He's the Mario Mendoza of this era, but a great defensive shortstop, and he can pretty much play anywhere in the infield. Fred Stanley, only a 21-year-old rookie. He never made it to the majors until 1972, and yet he might actually start for us at some point in the season because our shortstops are horrible. There's Steve Whitaker from the Royals, some guy named Merritt Renew. John Kennedy had a pretty decent long career, third baseman. Billy Williams never made it to the majors, longtime minor leaguer. The guy's 36 years old. He might be in right field for us. Greg Goosen, first baseman, and Jose Vidal, and then back to Tommy Harper. So there's the batters. Let's take a look at the pitchers real quick. Now, who would you have as your opening day pitcher? These are their stats from the 1968 year. So Gary Bell had thrown the most innings. I thought it would be appropriate for him to start since he played for Boston last year. And we were playing Boston here on opening day. So in real life, Diego Segui, right here, was their opening day starter. And he has started in the past. He was a reliever for Oakland the previous year, and that's why his endurance isn't really high enough to give him a regular spot in the rotation. But a little piece of trivia, when the Seattle Mariners debuted in 1977, he was the opening day pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. So he opened for the Pilots in their first game and the Seattle Mariners in their first game. So let's take a look at our sad sack of pitchers. Gary Bell, not a great pitcher. Terrible endurance, but he did pitch the most innings, and so why the hell not? Then we have Steve Barber, a 20-game winner for Baltimore, and played previous year for the Yankees. We got Jim Bowden, really never all that great of a starting pitcher. He came out of the gates hot with the Yankees, winning 21 in 1963, and he never really amounted to much after the 64 season, but he became a good writer. You got to read that book. I highly recommend it. Bob Meyer. Now, I don't know who this guy is. He hasn't pitched in the majors since 1964, but he's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and he's got one of the highest endurances on the team. He's a left-handed pitcher, and if you know from watching my other games, I don't like lefty starters in Baseball Mogul, but we're going to go with it. Marty Patton, who had a pretty good career with Kansas City, is our number 5 starter. He had 4 starts for California, and why not? Our closer is going to be Mike Marshall. Now, Mike Marshall, probably the best pitcher on our roster. In 67, he was with the Tigers. He was awesome. And then he went to Los Angeles, and he won a Cy Young Award. He pitched in 106 games. I believe he won 20 games in relief that year. He was a Cy Young Award winner in 1971 or 72. I can't remember now. But nonetheless, he's probably the most prolific pitcher we have And he is a closer, and we're going to need one of those guys. And then it gets kind of sad after Diego Segui, who we just saw. We got Jack Acker, pitched for Oakland, 54 games in relief. He could close too, I guess. But he's 86 mile an hour fastball. John Morris, he's our only lefty in the bullpen, which is already a bad sign. Gene Brabender, he was with the Orioles in 68. He did not play in 69 at all. He was on the Pilots roster, but he was in the minor leagues, and this is his 1970 card. Jerry Stevenson came over from the Red Sox. He might get into the game today against his old team. Skip Lockwood, a rookie, pitched for Boston, pitched for Kansas City in his career. Bucky Brandon of the Pilots played for Boston last year. So we took a lot of players from Boston. Charlie Bates, also known as Dick Bates. Boy. John O'Donohue of the Pilots. You saw him in the photograph where he was in the Brewers uniform. You see the piping there on the sleeves. Bill Edgerton and John Gelnar. Dick Bainey right here. And then Miguel Fuentes, who's on the top. So they share a rookie card together. And then Gary Timberlake. I believe that rounds out our roster. It does. Now, the Seattle Pilots, they only had a AAA team and a single A team in real life. Their AAA team was the Vancouver Mounties, and their single A team is the Clinton Pilots. They did not have a double A team at the time. So I've either put my minor leaguers in a AAA or single A franchise. That's how we're going to roll with that. Gosh, I don't know. I guess we need to get this game started. If I haven't already lost half of you, the other half of you probably thinking about heading for the door. So let's go ahead and get opening day started. You'll see here I made the headlines, the Baseball Mogul Times. We're going to change that to Brainiac Baseball Daily Beat. But you see they named me as manager, and that's nice. They didn't have to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with today's game. As always, I appreciate everyone following along. Like and or subscribe to the channel. We did just give away some 1983 Topps Rack Pack, where we divided it into the three sections, gave it away. We did not hit it big like I hoped we would, but I think everyone enjoyed the contest. It was a lot of fun. And maybe we'll have a contest associated with the Pilots somehow here. So in order to do that, you have to be a subscriber. So please subscribe to the channel. You'll see we got nothing really here to look at, as Gary Bell will get the start today. We're at Fenway Park. Their pitcher is Juan Pizarro. He's a left-hander. And there's our lineup with Gary Bell, the pitcher, in the number 9 spot. Let's go ahead and officially do the Pilots lineup rundown. Batting the leadoff in right field is Tommy Harper. Batting second in left field is Mike Hegan. Batting third at third base is Rich Rollins. Batting cleanup, playing first base is Don Mincher. Batting fifth in center field is Wayne Kummer. Batting sixth and catching is Jerry McNertney. Batting seventh at second base is Gus Gil. Batting eighth at shortstop is Gordy Lund. And pitching, batting ninth, is not Tommy Harper, it's Gary Bell. All right, let's take a look at Juan Pizarro, starting pitcher for Boston. It's a little out of order here, but he was on Pittsburgh. He got traded to Boston in 1968. You see he went 6-8 with a 3.59 ERA. 84 Ks in 107 2/3 innings pitched, so pretty solid. Opponents batted .241 against him. He had 6 complete games. He even had a couple saves. Pretty common back then. His fastball tops out at 96 miles an hour. Ground ball percentage is 43%. Overall, he's got 5 pitches here. The fastball and the curveball are the only two that are above average. He's got a screwball. He's got a knuckleball. He's even got a spitball. That's crazy. Now, the spitball was banished during the 50s, so maybe he was grandfathered in. A lot of those players were allowed to do that. He's got 113 career victories, so he's been around a long time. The 32-year-old lefty goes to free agency not until 1973. So, okay, I think we are ready. There's the defense for the Boston Red Sox. Not a good infield. Below average at first, second, and third base. Here we go. Tommy Harper leading off against Juan. Pizarro, full count. Oh, did he crush it? No way! The Seattle Pilots start with a home run. Holy cow. Tommy Harper, 435 feet over the Green Monster. And it's 1-0. That is a rude awakening for Juan Pizarro. Here's left-hander Mike Hegan. And he rips it into right field for a base hit. So the Pilots off to a good start. We're going to hit and run with Rich Rollins here. He has good contact. Also, he's a good bunter for someone batting third. I mean, this is not the ideal lineup. This is the best we have to offer. And a ground ball, base hit into right field. He goes the opposite way. And Hegan coasts into third. It's first and third. Nobody out. 11 pitches in. And we've got our cleanup hitter up. Now, he batted 167 versus lefties last year. We're going to let him swing away here. It's going to probably get Hegan in from third, tagging up 70% chance. Don Locke has a good arm. We're going to send him anyway, and he is safe at home. 2-0 Seattle. One out, and Rollins on first. That's going to bring up Wayne. I guess it's Wayne Comer, right? I think I called him Comer, that's a slip of the tongue. Here we go. He walks first and second, one down. That's going to bring up Jerry McNertney. I don't think he does much well. He could bunt. Everybody could bunt in 1968. Remember, we're coming off the year of the pitcher in 1968, and we're still 3 years away from the DH. McNertney rips it into left field. Do we want to tag? No, we don't. Yaz is out there. Not a great arm. We don't want the third out at third when we have a chance here to maybe open it up a little bit more. That will bring up Gus Gil. Light hitting second baseman, full count. And he strikes out swinging for out number 3. So the Pilots put 2 on the board, leadoff home run from Harper. And we go to the bottom of the first inning. Let's take a look at the Red Sox lineup rundown. Some names here I think you're going to recognize. Batting leadoff in right field is Reggie Smith. Batting second, playing third base, is Carmen Fanzone. Batting third in left field is Carl Yaztrzemski. Batting cleanup, playing center field, is Don Locke. Batting fifth at first base is George Scott. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, is Rico Petrocelli. Batting seventh and catching is Hal King. Batting eighth, playing second base, is Dalton Jones. And batting ninth is the pitcher, Juan Pizarro. Let's take a quick look at Gary Bell. Gary Ding Dong Bell, as I think we're going to nickname him. If you can come up with any nicknames for any of our players, put them in the comments, and we'll start using them. A gentleman from our one of the sports simulation group pages on Facebook, a guy that I don't know, I can't think of his name. I think his last name was Curtis. I came up with Gary Ding Dong Bell. I don't think it's his real nickname. Is it? No. Okay. So here's Gary Bell. Last year for Boston, he had 27 starts, went 11-11, 3.12 ERA, 103 strikeouts in 199 and a third innings pitched. Opponents batted .239 against him. 9 complete games, 3 shutouts, 1 save. His fastball tops out at 89 miles an hour. Ground ball percentage is 44%. He's only got 1 good pitch. It's a fastball rated an 85. He's got a curve and a slider he'll mix in. Overall rated a 79. The 32-year-old righty goes to free agency at the end of next year. His endurance is 55. That might get you 5 innings, maybe 6 in this game before you get tired. So we're going to give up some runs today. We're going to lose a lot of ball games, but we'll do the best we can. Let's take a look at the defense. Now, I did try to put some thought into our defense. We don't have anyone really good to play second base, and you can see that Gus Gil is going to get the first shot at playing second base, even with that terrible rating. But we have Ray Oyler, who can't hit, but he could play there. And then, of course, we have Fred Stanley as an option, too. So otherwise, we're pretty solid everywhere else. Here is Reggie Smith leading off for the Boston Red Sox. 0-2 count, and Bell strikes him out. So we put up 2 runs in the first, and then Gary Bell comes out and strikes out the great Reggie Smith. That's going to bring up Carmen Fanzone. I don't know if they still have a third baseman available, but he did not play in the majors until 1973 in real life. Bell walks him, so that's one thing that hasn't changed since our Tigers simulation. You strike out one, you walk the next guy. It's just kind of how it goes. Here's Carl Yaztrzemski. Now, Yaztrzemski, keep in mind, 1968, he's coming off winning the Triple Crown. So let's see what he's got to start off the 1969 season. He walks. All right, so we're not looking good. We're going to guard the lines here. Maybe get a ground ball from the cleanup hitter, Don Locke. Batted .155 last year versus righties. There's a pop-up on the infield. I think Gil will make the catch. He does. Out number 2. Now, I did go through and try to get the skin tone correct for all the players in this game. Of course, we got the baseball cards to represent them. I got those as accurate as I could. Also, the uniform colors, I tried to do the best I could with those. So I feel like everybody is as accurate as they can be. 2 down, first and second. Here is George Scott, big power hitter. And there's walk number 3 of the inning already. This is 23 pitches for Gary Bell. He might not get to the 5th inning. Bases are loaded for Rico Petrocelli. Another good power hitter. Let's see if we can't get him here. Played straight away. A fly ball to center field. That should be catchable for... Oh, it falls in! Oh, no! Oh, no. It falls in front of Wayne Comer. And Scott goes to third. The game is tied. Come on. That was catchable. Oh, no. The strikeout to start off, I was thinking we were going to be in good shape. It's first and third, 2 down. Here's Hal King. And that's the 4th walk of the first inning. So he's got opening day jitters. How far do we go with this guy? I guess this might be the last. Well, we got the pitcher coming up, right? So let's see how it goes. We got a lefty. It's Dalton Jones, second baseman. Number 8 hitter. There's a fly ball to center field. That should be catchable as Comer goes back and makes the grab. So the game is tied at 2 after 1. We go to the top of the second inning. We've got Gordy Lund leading off. These are the Seattle Pilots away jerseys. They're kind of like the baby blue with the dark blue that would come into fashion later on in the, in the mid-'70s, really, where every team had a baby blue practically. Gordy Lund hits a ground ball to first. Play is made by George Scott, 1 down. Here's Gary Bell. I mean, I guess we got to let him bat once, right? Before we yank him. Good hitting pitcher, batted .220. Striking out, second K for Pizarro. And we're back to the top of the lineup, Tommy Hunter. He went deep. And here he hits a ground ball to short. Play is made by Petrocelli. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Juan Pizarro leading off. He's the pitcher, batting .152 in 1968. Striking him out. Second K for Gary Bell. Pitchers were definitely better hitters. There are four players in this game that are two-way players, and we'll talk about that at another time. That's a frustrating thing, but I'll have to tell you about it sometime when we go to face them. And Reggie Smith breaks the tie. He goes Apotaco over the Green Monster to make the score 3-2. 371-foot home run. Both leadoff hitters with a dong today. All right, 1 down. Here is Carmen Fanzone, and that's 5 walks for Gary Bell. I mean, we definitely need to go to the bullpen. Let's try to get through these righties, and then maybe we'll bring in our one lefty in the bullpen. All right, here's Carl Yaztrzemski with 1 out. And Fanzone was stealing second, thrown out by McNertney. What is his arm rating? Let's take a look at McNertney. An 83, so it's it's above average. That's fair. So good job by McNertney. Thrown out Carmen Fanzone. 2 down. And Yaz walks. 6 walks for Gary Bell. Oh man. I don't know if he's gonna make the season. Somebody's got to start, and then a stolen base by Yaz. So Boston is running, attempting to run. We're going to pull the outfield in. Oh, that's not an option anymore. Yeah, so this is the newest version of Baseball Mogul, like with all the updates. When I played the last 1983 Tigers season, I did not use any of the updates, and it looks like they've changed some things. So we're going to learn along the way today. And then Don Locke strikes out. So Gary Bell gives up 1 run, the home run, what was that? Yeah, Reggie Smith home run. So over the monster, as it says. We go to the top of the third. Mike Hegan, 1 for 1 today, facing Juan Pizarro. Striking out, third K for Pizarro. He's had 46 pitches, so his pitch count is up a little bit. Rich Rollins up next with a ground ball to short. 2 quick outs here in the third as Don Mincher steps in. He hit the sacrifice fly in the first, and he grounds out to second. So that's a 7 in a row, technically, by Pizarro. We go to the bottom of the third. George Scott leading off. Scott, one of the many players who's walked today. He slices it to right. Play made by our right fielder, Harper. Wait a minute, is Harper not good in right field? Oh, he's crummy everywhere. I mean, he was just a right fielder, so I threw him out there, but he's not good defensively. Wow, I didn't even see that before. So that's just another blemish for our team. It's probably going to be a long season as Rico Petrocelli didn't look like it, but it did go over the Green Monster. 436 feet, and that's going to do it for Gary Bell. 68 pitches, 6 walks, not a good debut. We're going to bring in John Morris. Take a look at John Morris. Not great Well, I know he's pretty solid. He went 19 games last year, 2-0, 2.56 ERA, 31 and 2/3 innings, 22 strikeouts. Opponents batting 173 against him. He had no saves, 90-mile-an-hour fastball. He's a fly ball pitcher. One good pitch, that is the fastball. Overall rated a 72. 27-year-old lefty goes to arbitration next year. All right. Let's see if John Morris can get through these lefties here. Tigers are down 2. And he walks Hal King. Oh, no. 7 Pilots walks. Have I said Tigers yet by accident? If I have, I apologize. Runner on first, 1 down. Here's Dalton Jones. 0-2 count. Ground ball to third. It gets past the third baseman. And that's a base hit. So King holds at second. Only the 4th hit to go with 7 walks. And the pitcher is up. We're going to bring the infield in. Wait. I guess we're going to bring the corners in. So, yeah, that's another thing that's changed. Infield in used to be an option. Okay. Well, first and third. Here's Juan Pizarro. 1-2 count. Try to lay down a bunt. That's a good bunt to third. Sacrifice. Gets it done. Moves him over. And it's out number 2. Back to the top of the lineup. As Reggie Smith is a switch hitter. So he's going to turn around, bat right-handed. Second and third, 2 down. Full count, and he walks him. 8th walk. And this is not good. As we got to let him pitch to Fanzone because Yaztrzemski's up next. He's a lefty. I guess we just got to, what can we do? We got to just throw it at him. And a base hit into center field. 2-run score, and it's 6-2 Boston. As Fanzone gets 2 RBI. The walks have really hurt us today. As Yaztrzemski steps in, he pops it up. Can we at least make the catch of the pop out? There we go. There we go. So we get through 3. It's 6-2. Top of the 4th inning. Here's Wayne Comer leading off against Juan Pizarro. Striking out looking. 4 Ks for Pizarro. Jerry McNertney up next. Popping it up on the infield. So Pizarro's absolutely shut us down since the first inning. Already seems like forever ago as Gil grounds out to short. So John Morris, not great. We're going to bring in Jerry Stevenson. He pitched for Boston last year. Not good, though. 2-8 with a 5.64 ERA. He walked a lot himself. Opponents were batting .290 against him. We had 2 complete games. He does have a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. His screwball is his out pitch. Rated a 76 to 25-year-old righty. Goes to arbitration at the end of the year. All right, here we go. Jerry Stevenson facing Don Locke. And he walks him. Wow, we've got some real issues with this team. George Scott up next. And a base hit. Past the shortstop. Into left center field. First and second. Nobody out. Rico Petrocelli. Ground ball to second. Gus Gil turns the double play. Even with that really low rating. That was something we desperately needed. Runner on third, though, as Hal King steps up. Now we got the lefties against Jerry Stevenson. And he strikes him out of the screwball. Good job. Good job by Stevenson. Didn't start out well, but we got through it. Go to the top of the 5th inning. Gordy Lund leading off. Striking out. As Pizarro's got a screwball of his own. 5 Ks. We're going to let Jerry Stevenson bat. I mean, we're down 4, but, I mean, we still got to save our bullpen for the rest of the series, which might not go well either. Stevenson gets a hold of it, though. Rips it right at the first baseman, Scott. So there's 2 down for Tommy Harper, who walks. There we go. Look, we may as well send Harper. What's the percentage? Do we have that? 75% chance to steal second. Why have him at the top of the order if we're not going to send him? And if not, we just start off with Hegan. Here we go. Harper's going to be on the move. Right down the middle, and he's thrown out by Hal King. That's out number 3. So we go to the bottom of the 5th. We're going to leave Stevenson in there, as I mentioned. He's going to face Dalton Jones, the pitcher, and then Reggie Smith. And another walk. That's 10 walks issued by Pilots pitchers. We're going to bring the third baseman in, but actually I have a feeling he's going to be cutting it loose here. No, he's going to drop a bunt down in front of home plate. That will move Jones over. So second sacrifice for Pizarro today. Runner on second. Here is Reggie Smith. He belts it to left field. Caught on the warning track by Mike Hegan. 2 down. That's going to bring up Carmen Fanzone. He had a big hit. Put 2 runs on the board, made it 6-2. Ground ball to third. And Rollins throws him out. So, hey, we've got 2 scoreless innings in a row. We can build off that. Go to the top of the 6th. Mike Hegan leading off. He was at the plate when Harper was thrown out. He strikes out to lead off the 6th. 6 Ks for Pizarro. Rich Rollins pops it up on the infield. Wow, how many is that in a row? 3, 6, 9, 12. So 13 in a row now. Wait, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 in a row for Pizarro. And he walks Mincher. Why pitch to Mincher when you can pitch to Wayne Comer? Oh, a base hit to center field. That's going to get down. Mincher, we're going to hold him at second. There's the first hit since the first inning. Let's see if Jerry McNertney can make it interesting here. Doesn't have much power, so I'm not going to count on a 3-run jimmy-jack. Oh, pulls it to left, and it does fall in for a hit. Mincher scores. Comer goes to third. It's 6-3. And that means it's time to bring in a reliever for Boston. It's Ron Klein. He was on the Pirates last year. He looks like he could be your dad's insurance salesman. He's 37 years old. 12-5 in relief last year with a 1.68 ERA. 48 Ks, 112 and 2/3 innings pitched. Opponents batted .230 against him. He had 7 saves. Fastball tops out at 89 miles an hour. Ground ball percent 42.8. 2-pitch pitcher, but neither one of them above league average. Overall rated a 75. He goes to free agency at the end of the year. Okay, so now we've got Gus Gil. Let's take a look at our bench. Who do we like better, Steve Hovley or Steve Whitaker? Both are lefties. Well, he's got a 75 contact, and Steve Whitaker has a 73 contact. But he does have more power. He has a lot of power. So we're going to bring in Steve Whitaker to pinch hit, and then we'll have one of these 2 clowns play second base. All right, one swing of the bat can tie it up. That's what I'm hoping for here. As Steve Whitaker steps in, he did not hit so well last year versus righties. And they walk him. They walk him to get to Gordy. Oh, Gordy. Well, we got another lefty on the bench, don't we? And we got 2 middle infielders. So why the hell not? Let's bring in Steve Hovley, making his major league debut. What is this guy going to do in his first major league at bat? Bases loaded. Opening day. Here we go. 2-2 count. And a base hit into left field. That should score 2. It does. And it's 6-5. And the pitcher's up. Oh, no. Oh, man. Okay. Well, Stevenson did his gerb. I mean, I guess we have to use Danny Walton here. We certainly can't use a rated 62 catcher. So Danny Walton will come in and pinch hit. And after these defensive replacements, we're only going to have Freddie Velasquez on the bench. But it's opening day. We're trying to win here. Trying to get everybody involved. Here is Danny Walton. Only 2 career at-bats for Houston last year. He's got to be a better hitter than Jerry Stevenson. Here we go. Full count. And he walks. Okay. Second walk issued by Ron Klein in the inning. And the bases are loaded for our best hitter, Tommy Harper. I need a little sip of my special sauce. Okay. Here we go. Bases loaded. Tommy Harper, only a 170 hitter versus righties. 0-1 count. And a ground ball to second. Anticlimactic. We do get a couple of runs. Let's take a look at our lineup here. We got to figure this out. Wow. He's not good defensively. He's better. Shoot. Okay, so Steve Whitaker, we're going to move him to right field. Tommy Harper is probably going to leave the game. Then we have Danny Walton. Okay, yeah, okay, what are we doing here? Third base. So, second base will be, shortstop will be Ray Euler. And second base will be Fred Stanley, he's actually way better than Gus Gil, but not good enough, to be honest. But he's going to play today. That's only going to leave us with Freddie Velasquez. We're going to have to bring in a pitcher here, too. We're going to bring in Diego Segui, our setup guy. We're going to hope for a couple of innings from him. So Diego Segui coming into the ball game. We already saw what he offered. He played for Oakland previously, and also Kansas City when the A's were in Kansas City. He had a great season in relief. He was a starter at one point. He had 6 saves. And he was a closer for a period of time in real life. All right, he's going to come in and face Carl Yaztrzemski. That's tough. Yaz is 0 for 1 today. And a base hit to right field for Yaz. So his first hit of the game, first hit of the year. Next man up is Don Locke. Locke 0 for 2. He flips it to right, caught by our right fielder, Whitaker, for out number 1. That's going to bring up George C. Scott. And when I posted a game versus Boston with George C. Scott in it on my on the Brainiac Baseball Facebook page, George Scott's son, George Scott III, liked it. I thought that was pretty cool. That was our very first interaction with family of major leaguers. As Yaz is thrown out, trying to steal second, so he's 1 for 1 today. And the bases are empty now with 2 down for George Scott. You got a 1-2 count. And he strikes him out. 3 scoreless innings in a row for the Pilots relievers. We go to the top of the 7th, down a run. Ron Klein remains in the game. We like that. Here's Mike Hegan leading off. Wow, did he get all of it? I think it's going to fall short. Oh, the deepest part of the park, 420 feet. That is at the wall in dead center field. Catch made by Don Locke. There's 1 down. Here's Rich Rollins. Rich, 1 for 3 today. Skies it on the infield. Petrocelli catches it on the outfield grass for out number 2. We go to the, 2 down with Don Mincher up. So this is not as successful of an inning so far as I'd hoped. There we go. Don Mincher gets a base hit to right. He's 1 for 2 on the day. Ken Wayne Comer, keep it going. We can't pitch run for Mincher. We got nobody left but the catcher. And Comer's going to pop it up to second, where Andrews is waiting for it. So we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. I forgot to mention the Andrews defensive replacement. That's a good sign that the game is making, is recognizing the need to have a defensive replacement there. So that's good. Something we didn't see a lot of last year or in the 1983 Tiger season. So Diego Segui will stay in the game. Here's Rico Petrocelli. He's got a home run today. And he flips it to right for a base hit as it falls in front of Whitaker. 8 hits for the Red Sox. Now the lefties are coming up, but technically it's only King now. Oh, he rips it to right, and that falls in for a hit. Petrocelli goes to third. We have to pull the infield in. There we go. Now it's an option. Here's Mike Andrews of the Red Sox. As I mentioned, he came in for a defensive replacement. So first and third, nobody out. Infield's pulled in. We've got to prevent that run. That's not going to get it done. As Andrews flies out to left center field, run scores. And they're going to bring in Tony Canigliaro to pinch hit for the pitcher. It's 7-5 now. Here's Canigliaro striking out swinging. Good job by Segui. Back to the top of the lineup with Reggie Smith. Oh no! Is that a home run? Double dong day for Reggie Smith, and it's 9-5. Come on. Oh man, this is going to be a long season. Oh man, it's so tough. All right, 2 down. Here's Carmen Fanzone. A line drive to short. That should do it. It does. We're going to the top of the 8th inning. We're down 4 runs. We give up those 3 that we just got back. Sparky Lyle Sans Mustache is coming into the ball game. He is, I believe, their closer. 49 games last year, 6-1, 274 ERA with a 52 Ks and 65 2/3 innings pitched. Opponents batted .263 against him. 11 saves, 89-mile-an-hour fastball is where it tops out. Ground ball percentage is 45.8%. Only 1 good pitch. That's the slider. 24-year-old lefty goes to arbitration at the end of next year. All right, here's Jerry McNertney leading off the top of the 8th. Ground ball, base hit. There we go. Leadoff man is on. 8th hit by the Pilots. We have to let Steve Whitaker bat here. We don't have a choice. And a ground ball to short. Double play. Here is Ray Euler. His first at bat as a Pilot. As I mentioned, just an absolute horrible hitter. Ground ball to second, and that'll do it. So we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Down 4. I guess we're going to let Segui pitch because he is out of the ball. He'll be out of the ball game next time through. Okay, here we go. Carl Yaztrzemski leading off against Diego Segui. There's a ground ball to second. Fred Stanley tosses him out. 1 out for Don Locke-Kays. So we have not issued a walk in a while. I mean, we've given up 10 today. That is more than enough. George Scott base hit in the center field. 11 hits now for the Red Sox. Rico Petrocelli's up. He's 3 for 4 with a home run today. And there's a lazy fly ball to center. That should be out number 3. It is. We go to the 9th inning. All right, we're down to our final 3 outs. Fred Stanley will lead off. This is his major league debut right here. Ground ball to third. And an error by the third baseman, Carmen Fanzone. Maybe that'll open the door. We're taking out Diego Segui for our only bench player left, Freddie Velasquez. There he is. He looks like he should be the bullpen catcher. Wait, what is that? He's a 31-year-old rookie getting a shot with the Pilots. You gotta love a story like that. He doesn't do anything well. He got some power, though, so we may as well let him take a cut. 2-0 count. Oh, he rips it right at the third baseman. Fanzone for a double play. I didn't even see that they had pulled him in. Oh, because it was supposed to be the pitcher batting, so they pulled the infield in. They didn't recognize that we'd switched it out. And it comes down to Mike Hegan here on opening day. Sparky Lyle with a 1-2 count and a fly ball to right. And the Pilots lose their inaugural game 9-5. It was a lot of fun. I don't know what we learned about today's game. Maybe how to take a loss like a man. We lost 9-5. All right, no trade offers. Let's take a look at the standings. This is what we do after every game. If you've hung in there this long, you probably know the routine. Only a few games today. California won theirs. Oakland lost theirs. Take a look at the National League. Take a look at the teams here. How the divisions. Now when MLB brought in these new 4 teams, this is the first year of the divisions. Before it was just one division. It was the American League and the National League. So the East-West has been divided up for the first time in the 1969 season, which is why Cincinnati and Atlanta are in the West. Makes no sense, but it is how it is. Okay, let's take a look here at headline news. A torn rotator cuff strikes down Culp. Ray Culp is going to be gone for 11 months. So there's a starting pitcher for Boston. Didn't even make it through spring training. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is all the things that happened during spring training. So let's go current. And let's back it up. Here we go. So, April 1st. Bowens smashes 3 round trippers. Sam Bowens hit 3 home runs against the Orioles. So he's on the Senators. And you can read the rest of it here. Eldrod Hendricks went 1 for 2. Jim Fregosi came over in a trade with California. We'll show that stuff, I guess. And then a 93 win puts California in first. Beat the A's 9-3. And we'll get to know these names later. That's it for the Baseball Mogul Time. We're trading up to the Brainiac Baseball Daily Beat. Transactions. Okay, let's take a quick look at here. This is everything that happened during spring training. So all we really care about is what trades happened. Oakland traded Jim Pagliaroni to Houston for Cesar Geronimo and Mark Schaefer. Kansas City expansion team traded their second baseman, Luis Alcarez, to the Mets for a couple minor league pitchers. Detroit traded a pitcher named Dennis Saunders to Montreal for Bob Bailey, pretty good hitter in his time. And then this was the big trade. California traded their everyday shortstop, Jim Fregosi, to Baltimore, which we just read about. And they got back in return, California did, Don Baylor and Jim Fuller, two really great players. So, all right, that's going to do it. We're going to pull up the box score and get out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and or subscribe to the channel. Who is our player of the game? Is it Reggie? Not Reggie Smith. Is it our leadoff guy, Harper? Tommy Harper? It's definitely not our opening day pitcher. As we wait for the box score to open up here. He started us off, gave us some warm fuzzies with that home run, and then nothing went right after that for the most part. Everybody got into the game. Steve Hovley, in his major league debut, got a hit and drove in 2 runs. That might be enough. No, we're going to give it to Harper because we had a glimpse of hope for a moment. Gary Bell takes the loss, 0-1, 2 1/3 innings, giving up 6 walks. Oh, Lord. And then John Morris came in, didn't do much better. Jerry Stevenson settled it down, didn't give up any. And then Diego Segui gave up 3 runs. We did have 7 strikeouts. Juan Pizarro gets the win. He's 1-0. And 3 home runs from the Red Sox, 2 by Reggie Smith and 1 by Rico Petrocelli. Okay, that's going to do it. We're going to come back tomorrow with Game 2 of the season. Until then, everyone, have a great day.